Good morning, MennoNerds. Paul Walker here, and I'm happy to be with you today. Steve, I was really touched by your story of yourself in India and the way that impacted your life. And especially your just concluding comment was that you knew that you were always and forever will always be the rich young man. And Olivia, we're trying to talk to Steve, okay? What I wanted to say is that I think you're dead on the biblical interpretation of that text. I was doing a little research into some of my notes, and I discovered that Scott McKnight, a famous theologian, really kind of backs you up there. He writes that the question is not, are you the rich man or Lazarus? You are the rich man. Who is the poor man at your gate, and how will you treat him? And that's really what we should take away from that parable. How we treat people in this life has eternal consequences. What I find ironic and sad about a Western reading of the rich man and Lazarus found in Luke 16 is that we typically focus on the text as a justification of a view of the afterlife. We want to say, look, there's this chasm between heaven and hell. No one can cross it. I've heard many messages where we focused on that as the meaning of the text. And we really forget about what the central point is. I mean, it opens up in verse 19. It says, there was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores, longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. And that's the opening context. We got to focus on that, no matter how disturbing it is to us, no matter how uncomfortable it makes us. Perhaps we need to have major discussions in our context about why we want to avoid that very central message of that parable. I think one reason we avoid very uncomfortable truths is because our churches tend to not be prophetic. We're more comfortable with trite dogmatisms and cozy potluck suppers. It takes a lot to challenge ourselves to change the world, to believe for a different script than what we've been handed by our society, by the liturgy of our day. It takes a lot of chutzpah to say like Chris did. Chris said that, he had more in common with Pharaoh, if he was honest, than with the Israelites. He could identify more with the oppressor. It takes a lot of vision and daring and just inspiration, like Michael, to say that, you want to participate in a community of goods, that you want to share resources. It takes a lot of faithfulness, like Deborah, to tithe, to give money when, money is not, abounding in your life. I fear that what is reality is that we want to follow Jesus as Savior and not Lord. To put it a different way, I'll believe in Jesus. I'll lay down my life for the gospel, but I don't want to be inconvenienced.